R was descending toward the beach, its searchlight sweeping across the ground. It wasn't a human aircraft. Its shape was too smooth, its movement too silent despite the wind it created. Ilsu hunters, G whispered, pulling Han toward Yuna's car. They tracked my communication device. They jumped into the car and Han started the engine. The government agents burst from the station, running toward them with weapons drawn. At the same time, the alien craft landed, and 3 tall figures emerged. They looked similar to G, but with darker blue skin and what appeared to be armor covering their bodies. Han floored the gas pedal, sending the car bouncing down the rough access road. In the mirror, he saw the human agents and Ilsu hunters facing off, neither group following the car. "Where do we go?" Han asked, hands tight on the wheel. G looked at the device in her hand. "We need help, someone who will listen without trying to capture me or kill me." Han thought quickly. "My brother lives in the mountains, it's remote, and he doesn't trust the government. He might help us." They drove through the night, stopping only once for fuel at a small station where the sleepy attendant barely looked at them. G stayed in the car hidden under Han's jacket. By dawn, they were climbing mountain roads, the ocean far behind them. Han's brother, Sun, lived in a cabin he had built himself, far from the nearest town. He was a former military man who had grown tired of following orders, and now lived off the grid. He might shoot first and ask questions later. Han warned as they approached the cabin. "Let me talk to him." Sun was chopping wood when they arrived. He lowered his axe slowly as Han stepped out of the car, his eyes narrowing at the unfamiliar vehicle. "Little brother," he said cautiously. "This is a surprise." "I need your help," Han replied. "But you have to promise to stay calm." Sun's eyebrows rose as G stepped out of the car, her blue skin unmistakable in the morning light. To his credit, he didn't reach for the gun Han knew he kept in his belt. "Well," Sun said after a long moment, "this explains why you stopped coming to family dinners." Inside the cabin, over cups of strong coffee, they explained everything. Sun listened without interrupting, his face giving away nothing. "So," he said when they finished, "alien war, government agents, and you two on the run." He sipped his coffee. "Sounds like my kind of trouble." That night, as they planned their next move, Han found G standing outside looking at the stars. "That one," she said, pointing. "That's my home system." Han stood beside her. "Do you miss it?" "I should," G said. "It would be logical, but..." She turned to him. "Your world has changed me. The Ilsu believe emotions make us weak, but I feel stronger now than ever before." Han took her hand, noting how perfectly it fit in his despite the extra joint in her fingers. "Different, not weaker." G's eyes, reflecting the starlight, met his. "The Ilsu have forgotten what it means to care for another being more than efficiency or duty." She moved closer. "You taught me that lesson." The moment was broken by Sun rushing from the cabin. "Movement in the trees," he whispered. "And there's something in the sky coming this way." Han looked up to see lights descending through the clouds. At the same time, vehicle headlights appeared on the mountain road. "They found us," G whispered. "Both of them." The mountain cabin had suddenly become the center of a first contact situation. Han, G, and Sun stood in the small clearing as lights approached from both the sky and the road. There was nowhere to run. "What do we do?" Sun asked, his hand moving toward the gun on his belt. G placed her hand on his arm. "No weapons. That would only confirm their fears." She looked at Han. "We must be the bridge. It is the only way." Han nodded. "Sun, put away your gun. We're going to talk." The Ilsu ship landed first, its smooth surface gleaming in the moonlight. 3 tall figures emerged, their dark blue skin almost black in the night. They wore what looked like armor, with devices on their wrists that Han guessed were weapons. Minutes later, 3 black SUVs pulled into the clearing. Government agents poured out, surrounding the cabin with guns drawn. "Step away from the aliens," one agent shouted. Lower your weapons, the tallest Ilsu called out, his voice translated through a device similar to G's. The human is our prisoner. G stepped forward into the open space between the two groups. I am no one's prisoner, she said clearly. I am here by choice. She held up her communication device. This contains proof that a faction of Ilsu has been planning attacks on Earth, wanting to start a war. She turned to the Ilsu hunters. Commander Day, you know I speak the truth. You serve the Council faithfully, but some Council members serve only their fear. The tall Ilsu, Commander Day, hesitated. You broke our highest laws by revealing yourself to humans. To save both our worlds, G replied. Han moved to stand beside her. Your people think emotions make you weak, he said to the Ilsu. But where I come from, caring for others makes us stronger. The lead government agent stepped forward. We discovered the ship 3 weeks ago. Our scientists have been studying it. He looked at G with wonder and caution. We know you're not the only ones out there. No, G agreed. The galaxy holds many intelligent species, some peaceful, some not. Commander Day studied the human agents, then Han, and finally G. The Council ordered us to bring you back and eliminate any humans who had seen you. And will you follow those orders? G asked. A tense silence fell over the clearing. Sun had moved to Han's other side, the three of them standing together against both alien and human forces. Finally, Commander Day lowered his weapon. The oath I took was to protect our people. If there is a threat of war, I must know the truth. G activated her device, and a hologram appeared in the air between them. It showed recorded meetings of Ilsu officials planning staged attacks on Earth, discussing how humans' emotional nature made them easy to manipulate into striking back. They fear you because you are different, G explained to the human agents. They cannot understand emotions, so they believe they must control or destroy what they do not understand. The lead human agent stepped closer, fascinated by the hologram. And you disagree with them? G looked at Han. I have learned that different does not mean dangerous. Emotion is not weakness, it is another kind of strength. Slowly, weapons lowered on both sides. The next hours were spent in careful discussion. Commander Day, seeing the evidence, contacted other Ilsu officials who opposed the war faction. The human agents called their superiors. By dawn, the first official peaceful contact between humans and Ilsu had begun. 3 months later, a small facility had been built near Han's research station. It served as an embassy of sorts, where representatives from both species could meet safely. Han had been named Earth's first ambassador to the Ilsu, with G serving as his counterpart. The council has been restructured, G told Han as they walked along the beach where they had first met. Those who planned war have been removed from power. And my government has agreed to keep your existence quiet for now, Han replied. A public announcement will come when both sides are ready. G stopped walking, looking out at the ocean. My people have gained much knowledge from Earth, but I think what they needed most was to remember how to feel. Han took her hand. And humans needed to remember that we're not alone in the universe. G turned to him, her blue skin glowing softly in the sunset light. 2 different worlds, she said, bridged by understanding. Han finished. Above them, stars began to appear in the darkening sky, no longer distant points of light but windows into worlds waiting to be discovered. Just me being lazy about dishes, Han lied. As they discussed work, Han kept glancing nervously at the closed door to the storage room. When a small sound came from inside, G had knocked something over. Yuna's eyebrows rose. What was that? Probably a mouse, Han said. This old building has many visitors. After Yuna finally left, Han rushed to the storage room. G was sitting on the floor, surrounded by books that had fallen from a shelf. I'm sorry, she said. I was trying to reach the music device. Han helped her pick up the books. It's okay, but we need to be more careful. If people find out you're here, G's eyes darkened. They would take me away, study me. My people would see it as an act of aggression. She looked at Han, and the ones hunting me would find me. I won't let that happen, Han promised. That night, as Han played soft guitar music, Ji asked a question that surprised him. What is love? Han nearly dropped his guitar. What? In your stories, humans do irrational things for this concept. They risk their lives, change their plans, sometimes even die. What makes it so powerful? Han set the guitar down, thinking carefully. Love is when you care about someone else's happiness as much as your own. Maybe even more. Ji was quiet for a long time. The Ilsu would see this as dangerous. A weakness, is it? Han asked. Or is it a different kind of strength? Ji didn't answer, but that night Han noticed she had moved her bed closer to the door that separated their rooms. The morning sun streamed through the windows of Han's research station as Ji studied a small device in her hands. Her blue fingers moved quickly over the surface, which glowed with strange symbols. Her face, usually calm, now showed worry. What's wrong? Han asked, setting down 2 cups of morning tea. They have found my ship, Ji said quietly. Your government has pulled it from the ocean. Han felt his stomach tighten. How do you know? Ji held up the small device. This connects to my ship's systems. It sends warnings if anyone touches it. She looked up at Han with her large, cat-like eyes. I must tell you the truth now. I have not been completely honest about why I am here. Han sat down across from her, waiting. I am not just a traveler, Ji said. I am what you might call a diplomat. My mission was to make peaceful contact with Earth. She touched a spot on her neck where the breathing slits were. But there are those among my people who do not want peace. Why not? Han asked. Fear, Ji said simply. Fear of different ways. Some Ilsu believe that any species that values emotions over logic is dangerous and must be controlled. She placed the device on the table between them. I carry proof that this group has been planning attacks on Earth to make humans seem like the aggressors. Han stared at her. An alien war? Here? Ji nodded. The device contains messages, plans, names of those involved. If I can get this to the right people, people who want peace, we might prevent the conflict. She looked out the window. But first we must avoid both your government and my enemies. Han ran his hands through his hair, thinking. My people don't even know aliens exist. If the government has your ship, they're probably keeping it secret. For now, Ji agreed. But they will learn to access its systems eventually, and when they do, the Ilsu warships will know exactly where to find us. The sound of a car engine made them both freeze. Through the window, Han saw Dr. Yuna's vehicle pulling up outside. Quick, he whispered. Hide. Ji slipped into the storage room just as a knock came at the door. Han took a deep breath and opened it. Yuna, this is a surprise. Dr. Yuna didn't smile. Behind her stood 2 men in dark suits. Han, these men need to speak with you. They're from National Security. The taller man stepped forward. Dr. Han, we need to ask you about something unusual that may have washed up on your shore recently. Han's heart raced, but he kept his face calm. Like what? Any metallic objects, particularly after the meteor shower 3 months ago? No, Han said, trying to sound confused. Just the usual trash from fishing boats. The men looked at each other. The shorter one spoke. Mind if we look around? Just routine. Before Han could answer, Dr. Yuna walked past him into the station. What's going on with you lately, Han? You've been acting strange for months. She moved around the small main room, looking at everything. Missing team meetings, not submitting. Research. Han tried to block her path to the storage room, but she was too quick. Before he could stop her, she opened the door. Ji stood in the middle of the room, her blue skin glowing slightly in the dim light. Dr. Yuna's mouth fell open. The 2 men rushed forward, reaching for weapons hidden under their jackets. Wait! Han shouted, stepping between them and Ji. She's not dangerous. Step aside, Dr. Han, the taller man ordered. This is a matter of national security. You don't understand, Han insisted. She came here to warn us. G moved forward, her hands raised to show she held no weapons. I mean no harm to your world, she said, her voice musical even through fear. I seek only to prevent war. The men stared at her, weapons now drawn but held at their sides. Dr. Yuna backed away until she hit the wall, her eyes never leaving G's blue face. What is it? The shorter man asked. Not what, Han corrected firmly. Who? Her name is G, and she's here to help us. G slowly reached for the device on the table. This contains proof of a plot against your world. If you take me away, study me like an animal, or try to use me against my people, you will start a war you cannot win. The men looked uncertain now. Dr. Yuna finally found her voice. Han, you've been hiding an alien in your research station? Have you lost your mind? Maybe, Han admitted. Or maybe for the first time I'm seeing clearly. He moved to stand beside G. If you want to take her, you'll have to take me too. The room fell silent as everyone considered what to do next. Then from outside came the sound of a helicopter approaching. More of your people? Han asked and their confused expressions answered his question. No, G whispered, her voice tight with fear. They are mine. The helicopter's sound grew louder as Han looked between the government agents and G. In seconds, everyone in the small research station would be trapped between two forces, human and alien, neither understanding the other. We need to go. Now, Han said, grabbing G's arm gently. The shorter agent raised his weapon. Nobody moves. That's an order. Han turned to Dr. Yuna, whose face showed a mix of fear and fascination. Yuna, please. If either side starts shooting, this becomes a war. Help us. Something in his voice must have reached her. After a moment of hesitation, she pointed to the back door. My car keys are in my pocket, take them. The agents shouted protests, but Yuna stepped between them and the fleeing pair. National security, right? What's more secure, starting an alien conflict or letting them find a peaceful solution? Han grabbed the keys as they rushed past. Outside the helicopter. I'll write the first part of Human Rescues Alien Girl, sparking an unlikely romance in about 800 words using simple English and a third-person perspective. I'll make it interesting while keeping the language basic. The ocean roared with fury as Dr. Han stood at the edge of his research station's deck. The storm had appeared suddenly, turning the once calm sea into a mess of angry waves. Han pulled, his coat tighter around his body. Tonight was supposed to be perfect for studying the rare fish that only appeared during spring nights. Han was about to go back inside when a bright light cut through the dark clouds. Something was falling from the sky, leaving behind a trail of smoke and fire. Whatever it was crashed into the water about half a mile from shore. What in the world? Han whispered, grabbing his binoculars. Through the rain-covered lenses, he could see something floating on the water's surface. It looked like metal catching the moonlight. Han's heart raced as he ran to the small boat tied to his dock. Nobody else was around for miles. If someone was in trouble, he was their only hope. The waves fought against his small boat, but Han was strong. After years working on the sea, he knew how to handle rough waters. As he got closer to the floating object, he realized it was like nothing he had ever seen before. It was a small ship, but not the kind that sailed on water. Its smooth metal surface had strange markings that glowed faintly. Hello? Han called out, moving his boat carefully alongside the strange craft. Is anyone there? A section of the ship suddenly slid open. Han nearly fell backward in surprise. Inside, lying on what looked like a control panel, was a person, or something. That looked almost like a person. She, Han thought it was a she, had pale blue skin that seemed to shimmer under the moonlight. Her hair was silver, floating around her head like it was underwater. Along the sides of her neck were small slits that opened and closed as she breathed. She looked hurt, with a dark liquid that might have been blood coming from a wound on her head. Han didn't hesitate. Whatever. Whoever she was, she needed help. He carefully lifted her from the ship. She was lighter than he expected, almost as if her bones were hollow. Her skin felt cool against his arms. The strange ship began to sink as soon as Han had the woman in his boat. He watched for just a moment as it disappeared beneath the waves, then turned his attention to rowing back to shore as quickly as possible. Inside his research station, Han laid the woman on his bed. Up close, he could see that she wasn't human, though she looked similar in many ways. Her fingers were longer than a human's, with an extra joint in each. Her ears came to slight points at the tops, and when Han checked her pulse, he found it on the side of her neck rather than the front. "What are you?" he whispered, cleaning the wound on her head. The cut wasn't deep, but she remained unconscious. Han spent the night watching over her, checking her breathing and making sure she was comfortable. He had no idea what kind of medicine might help her, so he simply kept her warm and hoped for the best. As the sun rose the next morning, the storm cleared. Han was making tea when he heard a soft noise from the bedroom. He rushed in to find the blue-skinned woman sitting up, her large eyes, with pupils like a cat's, staring at him in fear. She said something in a language Han had never heard before. It sounded like music, with clicks and whistles mixed in. "Won't hurt you?" Han said slowly, holding his hands up to show they were empty. "I found you in the water. Your ship sank." The woman touched her head where the wound was and then looked at Han again. She reached for something around her neck, a small pendant. When she pressed it, it glowed briefly. "Translation protocol initiated," said a mechanical voice from the pendant. "Processing local language." Han stared in amazement. After a few seconds, the woman spoke again, but this time he understood her words. "Why did you save me?" she asked, her voice still musical, even through the translation. "You were hurt," Han said simply. "Anyone would have helped." The woman shook her head. "No, not anyone, not where I come from." She looked around the small room. "You are a human?" Han nodded. "My name is Han. I'm a marine biologist. I study ocean life." "I am G," she replied. "My people are called the Ilsu. We live," she pointed upward, "very far away." "You're from space?" Han asked, his mind racing with questions. G nodded slowly. "I did not mean to come here. I was running away." Her eyes darted to the window, as if checking for pursuers. "They will come looking for me." "Who?" Han asked, suddenly concerned. "Those who want war with your world," G said, her voice dropping to a whisper. "I have information that could stop them, but they will do anything to silence me." Han sat down slowly on the edge of the bed. His quiet life of studying fish had just become much more complicated. "Tell me everything," he said. 3 weeks had passed since Han found G in the crashed ship. She now stayed hidden in the small storage room at the back of his research station. Han had moved a bed in there, along with some books and a small TV. It wasn't much, but G seemed grateful. "Your planet has so much water," G said one morning as they watched the sunrise over the ocean. "The Ilsu homeworld is mostly desert. We built our cities underground to escape the heat." Han poured tea for both of them. G had quickly grown fond of the bitter drink, especially with honey added. "Is that why your skin is blue? To reflect heat?" G nodded. "Yes, and these," she pointed to the slits on her neck, "help us save water. We can recycle our body's moisture." She looked at Han with curious eyes. "Your people waste so much. The way you leave taps running, the long showers. It would be criminal on my world." "We take it for granted," Han admitted. "But tell me more about your home. What do the Ilsu do for fun?" G's face showed confusion. "Fun? We don't have this concept exactly. We have duties, responsibilities, achievements. Our society values efficiency above all else." "No music? No dancing? No stories?" Han asked, surprised. "We have historical records and scientific texts," G replied, "but not for fun." Han smiled and went to his small collection of books. He pulled out a volume of fairy tales. "Then we have a lot to share." Each day brought new discoveries. Han taught G about human culture, music, art, food, and stories. He played his old guitar for her, and though she called it organized noise, At first, he later caught her humming the tunes when she thought he wasn't listening. In return, G told Han about the stars. She described worlds with rings of ice, planets with oceans of liquid metal, and moons where creatures lived in the sky rather than on the ground. Her knowledge was vast, but always practical. When Han asked what these places looked like, she seemed confused by the question. "They look like what they are," she would say. "Why does appearance matter?" One evening, Han brought a small cake with a candle on it. "It's been 1 month since you arrived," he explained. "A small celebration." G stared at the flame. "What is the purpose of this ritual?" "No purpose," Han said. "It's just nice to mark special occasions." G's blue fingers touched the edge of the plate. "Inefficient," she said, but Han noticed her lips curved slightly upward. The next day, while Han was collecting samples from tide pools, Dr. Yuna from the main research facility came by unexpectedly. Han barely had time to warn G to stay hidden. "You've been scarce lately," Yuna said, looking around the station with curious eyes. "The research team misses your input." "I've been focused on my own project," Han said quickly. Too quickly. Yuna noticed the 2 cups on the table. "Company?"